Sean and I back once again here on the podcast to talk investing, finance, retirement. And Sean, we got an email question that came in I want to tackle this week. And it kind of hit
Okay.
me fairly well because I'm similar to this person. And so, we get people that, all kinds of questions, and we appreciate those. Leave comments down below. Obviously, reach out to the team at elevatemyretirement.com. You can send an email to the team about whatever. You can send a question to the show, all that good stuff. But I'll get to the question here in just a second. But it's really kind of talking about like when do you turn on Social Security, which everybody struggles with. But then you add this layer in of expected not longevity, expected dying early, right? So how does that factor in? So I want to get into that this week. But first of all, how you doing? You doing all right?
Yeah, I'm good.
Yeah.
I'm good.
Do you get this? I mean, we know that Social Security question, when to turn it on, is a huge one for people, right? It's constantly like that's one of the top 3 or 4. When do I turn it on?
Well, yeah, it's like, the internet or the radio or TV or whatever told me that I need to learn how to maximize my Social Security benefits so I can, get the biggest monthly benefit possible, blah, blah. Like it's
Or that before they go broke, or whatever the headline
right.
is. Yeah, yeah.
Yeah.
So here's the email from a listener.
Okay.
I said, my father passed away in his late 60s. My mother died in her early 70s. I don't plan on having a lot of longevity. Now, I said I can relate. I've had heart surgery already. There's none of the men in my family live past 75, like going back a lot. So like I've told my wife, I've had like this premonition, call me what, laugh at me, whatever you want to say, but I'm pretty sure I won't make it to 75. And, but I've also worked and talked with advisors like yourself for years. So I'm not planning on spending it all by the time I'm 75, and then maybe I'm wrong. So to this person's point, they ask, because there's no longevity in my family and I don't think I have it, should I turn Social Security on early because of that? And it's an interesting question, but there's a lot of other factors that maybe play into this question too. So what's some things to think about?
This is interesting. I like this. I like this topic because if I'm not going to live long, I'm going to take Social Security anyways.
Sure.
Okay. Well, what if you do live long?
Right. Which is my thing. Yeah.
I mean, I messed around and I lived to be 90. Whoops. But now
Right,
let's say
right.
let's throw all that to the side and put parameters in place here, because there
Okay.
are some rules with Social Security.
Okay.
Do I take Social Security early? Maybe, maybe not. It depends. If you're going to take it at 62, are you going to retire? Are you going to reduce your incomes to a level to where you're not penalized?
Which you
on
have
Social
to,
Security?
right? Right. You
Yeah,
have to.
if you take Social Security, you have to reduce down. Otherwise, it just doesn't make any sense to take
Yeah.
Social Security.
What is it
'cause
like?
you gotta pay
20?
it all back.
Was it like 21,000? And I think 21.5 or something like that. I think now you can't
Yeah.
make more than that, right?
Right, and otherwise, it's like a 3-for-1, 2-for-1 split.
Yeah.
Or that
Yeah.
you get a clawed back.
Yeah.
So that's the primary question in my mind. So are you going to stop your source of income? Or are you going to make enough income that you don't get penalized on your Social Security?
Okay.
Because if you're not, like, why take it then?
Right. Right.
You just got to pay it back. So the first one is, it's the question of, are we going to retire and reduce
Are
income?
we truly going to stop? Right. Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Okay.
And if you are, great. Okay. Well, then let's look at the math. Mathematically, and a lot of people say, well, if you take it at 62, the break even is 78 or 80, and you'll get more money by waiting if you live longer and this and that. Well, the reality of it is, if I retire at 62, for example, and I need $5,000 per month, and Social Security is going to give me $2,500 per
Mm-hmm.
month. Well, I only need to create $2,500 from my assets, right?
Right. And so does the math work for that? If it does, that's half the conversation piece, I would think.
Well, because wouldn't you rather leverage the government's money than
Right.
and well, before
I was going to say we're going to get comments down below that says it's my
Yeah.
money, Sean.
yeah. Don't crucify me, but
Right.
wouldn't you rather leverage income from the government that's guaranteed? Oh, well, it's not guaranteed.
Right.
Income from the government that is promised to you,
Right.
than to spend an extra $30,000 a year of your money by pushing Social Security out.
Right.
Because that's the reality of it. If I don't take Social Security at 62 and I wait to 67 or full retirement age,
Right.
I've waited 5 years of of less income, and I put strain on my own dollars because my needs don't change,
Mhm.
does that make mathematical sense for your plan?
Okay. And so is this a three-part question or a two-part, right? So one is the math, right? The
Mhm.
other is predictability of longevity. So let's talk about
Right.
that for a second. How accurate is family legacy or family medical history in predictability? Yeah, some genetics, sure, but in 2025, we've also changed an awful lot of stuff. My dad died when he was 63, and that was 30 some odd years ago. A lot has changed medically in 30 years. Now, when he had open heart surgery, Sean, he was in the hospital for 3 weeks. When I had it, I was in the hospital for 3 days,
Yeah.
right?
They had you up like almost immediately walking.
Yeah. Oh, yeah. The next day, I had it on Friday. They had me walking around the intensive care place on Saturday.
So there's a lot of studies out there about like your biological age and then your lifestyle age. Right? So my biological age tells me that I'm 45. My lifestyle age, I'm
I'm
not a smoker.
106.
I exercise a lot. I sometimes I feel that way. Like
Right.
my Achilles, I get out of bed, I straight leg walk because my Achilles aren't loosened up yet. But
Right. Right.
you know, from a lifestyle perspective, I work out 6 days a week. I eat pretty healthy. I'm very active. So my lifestyle age probably has me a little bit younger than 45.
Okay.
We look at, there's like my grandfather on my mother's side who passed away when I was 15. He died at 61, I think. His lifestyle age probably had him at 75.
Mm-hmm.
Not because, he was a Korea infantry vet.
Mm-hmm.
He served 3 tours in Vietnam, Army infantry. He was a lifetime smoker, lifetime drinker. He had just a lot of stuff entering his body that unfortunately cancer eventually got a hold of him and took him from us. But
Right.
his lifestyle was way older than his biological age.
And that
so
factors in, yeah, and that definitely factors in. So, like I said, if we're breaking this into three parts, your first part was, do you actually plan to retire? If you're going to turn it on early, are you going to stop working, or or does the math work with the reduced level of income because you can't make
Right.
but so much, as we talked about? Two, like what does the math dictate? Do you have enough of your own resources to then go ahead and support retiring early? And then three is the lifestyle. I guess we could add the fourth question in here, and it's also it's the medical. It goes back to the medical, because what are you doing for medical services if you're not getting it from the job anymore, right? Because you're not
Right.
going to get it at 62 when you turn Social Security on. You got to wait till 65, as we all know, and that's pretty expensive
Yeah, you've got to pay those costs.
for 3 years.
Yeah, until you're 65, and then Medicare kicks in. So, there's a lot of factors that go into when you should take Social Security. But the one thing that I know that holds true is that for every unique family that we meet with,
Okay.
they have a potentially a unique Social Security withdrawal strategy that is unique to their age, their needs, their goals, and their desires.
Yeah.
I know that to be true.
Because you've only done what, a few thousand of these?
We've done a few.
Yeah. Well, so you just mentioned family. So this person does not address that either in the question. Just talks about his family. It was a gentleman, his family's longevity, right? Okay. So if you turn Social Security on, what about your spouse, Sean? So
Yeah.
talk to me about that side of the equation.
So what happens if your spouse has longevity in her family?
Yeah.
She's gonna eventually, or he is eventually going to take the spousal benefit or
Mhm.
not, because maybe they're the larger Social Security. But losing that Social Security, one of them is going to affect their long-term goal,
Yeah.
their long-term plan. So now you have to account for, we had this income coming in. What happens when it's reduced? Because that will happen.
Sure.
Or do we push the surviving spouse? If surviving spouse or other spouse has longevity in their family, do they wait to take Social Security a little bit longer?
Yeah. Yeah.
And then you build a plan around that.
And it's definitely the math question again, because we'll call this guy Mike. Okay. Just for easy. We'll just call him Mike. If Mike makes more than his spouse and he turns it on early, he's doing them a disservice whenever they take the spousal benefit, because he's convinced he's going to die early. So when he kicks the bucket, they get a reduced amount, because you only get one of the two, right?
Right.
And if his was the higher, I mean, so again, it's a math problem that goes into there, but it's not just a singular. Now, to be fair, Mike didn't put in there, maybe he's single, maybe none of this it's a moot point, but
Yeah,
we
but it
want to
doesn't matter.
address that for other people as well, right?
But what if Mike's not single,
Yeah.
and there was no thought into when or how to take Social Security, and now he just blew up his surviving spouse's plan
Yeah.
when he passes because they didn't take the time to build a plan.
Yeah, and maybe spent it, right? So because you think you're going to die early, again, like me, I could easily. I'm in that same boat, Mike. I think I'm checking out a little bit early myself. My wife hates it every time I say that, but we're planning in as though I could be wrong, right? We're putting in an alternate path or a plan B or whatever, that if I'm wrong, that I don't turn 80 and I have to find a job. Right?
Yeah, it's a what if plan, right? Like,
Yeah.
whoops,
Yeah.
I was so healthy that I lived long enough.
Yeah, right. And the ladies, I mean, what about the ladies in your family? Do they live longer, right? I mean, yeah, as guys, we do tend to look at the males in our family, but there's a lot, again, family history has a predictor, but it doesn't have the be all end all. So
Right.
Sean, at the end of the day, you just got to have a strategy, right? I mean, I know that's cliche, but I mean, that's where we're at.
Yeah, have a plan for everything.
Yeah.
I mean, we talk a lot about baseball. We'll
Right.
get more comments there, but I
we made it an episode and a half, folks.
I know. Even like right now, we're in our fall practice, in our fall season. We're
Yeah.
not playing any games. We have a very directed practice plan every single day that we practice for every minute of our practice.
Yeah.
So we know exactly what we're going to do for the next week, every minute of the practice time.
Yeah.
And my wife, we're building out some trips right now. She has a plan for those trips of where we're going, where she wants to stay, when we're leaving. Give your retirement the same attention.
You got to have a plan. You got to have a strategy. I will finish. I'll settle it or end it with this, Sean.
Yeah.
Messed up the lawnmower. My brother and I, before you and I jumped on to have this conversation, we're working on the lawnmower and we took the stuff apart and everything and found out what the problem was. We still can't even figure out how it happened, but we don't have the right wrench to take one more piece off to fix the problem, right? Because we went into it not exactly sure what the problem was. And it made me think about what I talk about and what you do for a living and stuff. And it's like, you don't always know what the problem is going to be, right? So you've got to make a rough strategy, a rough outline and plan, and then you adapt because you might not have the right wrench at some point, which is what happened here today.
Right.
Right. But I mean, that's exactly what you do.
Yeah. I mean, you have to, we'll call them like exit ramps, right? Or on ramps. So you've got to have an exit ramp when something goes wrong. You have to have an on ramp back onto the freeway.
Yep.
When you fix the problem and things go right. So, we've got exit ramps and on ramps in every plan to make sure that it's taking you how and where you want to go. With whoops, well, I passed away. That's an exit ramp. My wife, she needs another on ramp to continue the plan of retirement.
Yeah. Yeah. So, I mean, at the end of the day, what's the right Social Security strategy? Like Sean said, everybody's different, right? Because whether you think you've got longevity or you don't, or you do, or whatever the case is, run some of those maths, right? Stress test some of those numbers as to what happens if you do option A, and then what happens if you do option B, and then what does that do to your loved one on option A, and then what your loved one on option B, right? So run that stuff out, Mike. Obviously, hopefully you're thinking about that, considering that the fact that you sent the question in hopefully means you are thinking about it. So other people that are in that same similar boat, do yourself a favor, right? Do your retirement a favor. Sit down with somebody like Sean and his team at Elevated Retirement Group and just have a conversation and see what you need to do. Run those numbers, stress test some of this stuff and see how it shakes out. Everybody does these things complimentary. It's no cost or obligation, but you got to get on the calendar and reach out to them. So go to the links below, elevatemyretirement.com. Again, click on the links below, elevatemyretirement.com, and get some time on the calendar with the team. Sean, thanks for breaking it down, brother.
Awesome, man. Thanks for having me.
I always appreciate you hanging out with us and talking to us and shining a light on some things here on Retirement Elevated with Sean Lee. Hit the subscribe button for Apple, Spotify, and of course YouTube. We'll see you next time.
This podcast has been prepared for educational and marketing purposes only. The information in this video is general in nature, does not constitute personalized investment advice, and does not provide a complete analysis of the subjects discussed. All investments involve risk, and different types of investments involve varying degrees of risk. There can be no assurance that any specific investment strategy will be profitable or suitable to you. Additionally, although information presented in this podcast is believed to be factual and up to date, we do not guarantee its accuracy. You should consult an attorney or tax professional regarding your specific legal or tax situation and should consult a professional advisor before implementing any of the strategies mentioned in this video. Investment advisory services are offered through Elevated Capital Advisors LLC, an SEC-registered investment advisor affiliated with Elevated Retirement Group LLC. Registration as an investment advisor does not constitute an endorsement of Elevated Capital Advisors LLC by securities regulators, nor does it indicate that the firm has attained a particular level of skill or ability. Insurance advice and products may be offered by a third-party insurance producer, which may be affiliated with Elevated Retirement Group LLC and Elevated Capital Advisors LLC. Walter Storholt, Mark Killian, and Third Wheel Media LLC are not clients of Elevated Capital Advisors. They receive cash compensation for their assistance in preparing and hosting this podcast, and for providing the endorsement contained in this podcast. Because Walter, Mark, and Third Wheel Media are compensated in connection with this podcast, they have a material conflict of interest in providing their endorsement.